Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Movies in Focus podcast. I'm Niall Brown. German writer-director Torsten Ruether joins this episode of the podcast to talk about his boxing drama, Uppercut. The film marks Ruether's English-language debut, adapted from his 2021 film, Leberhaken, and it features an impressive cast including Ving Rhames, Luise Grossmann, Joanna Cassidy, and Jordan E. Cooper. Uppercut tells the story of Toni, a determined female boxer, and her journey with Elliott, a tough ex-boxing champion, played by Rhames. Torsten Ruether talks about making Uppercut, working with Ving Rhames, and how the film developed and evolved from its early origins. And as always, I hope you enjoy what we have to talk about.
Hey, Niall, good to see you. My pleasure.
You too. It must be an early one for you today, is it?
Pardon me?
It must be an early start for you today.
No, actually, we're in Berlin, so
Right.
this is something around 5 p.m. now. So I just had breakfast.
That good then?
Uh,
Well, thank you for taking the time. I really enjoyed the film, and it was very surprising because you go into a sports film with expectations, and this really subverted those expectations. Was that the plan that you had going in to do it?
Actually, a little yes. I think it was so. Boxing is for me was the most archaic possibility to show this psychological play of these two characters, and I love this platform they had. So another form would have been something like ballet, but I wasn't so too familiar with ballet, so I thought boxing is a very, very cool momentum. Yeah, and I think that the research in Los Angeles and all over the place with these, let me say, boxing Methusalems in a way, these old guys who train their proteges just with a gesture, a short gesture in the face. That fascinated me, and I thought, okay, once maybe some people will miss this, blood, sweat, and tears thing, it would surprise them in a way, exactly what you said, that we go on another track and that we make these guys um, you know or that we create something like an experience of curiosity what they had. And so yeah, I think it is something which is something like a surprise, which is something like a very, very special way to do it within a boxing movie, but it isn't a classical boxing movie. So I thought it was something like a good idea.
And going back to the genesis of it, sort of having had a little peek at IMDb, which is never, it has a tendency to be incorrect. Over the years, you seem to have used or made a couple of versions of this film. Talk me through that. What made you sort of develop that and hone it and keep going back to it?
Yeah. So the original version was a German movie called Leberhaken, which is the equivalent to liver punch. That is the stroke to the liver. We shot it during COVID and did that 110-minute piece within 3 days. So it was an experiment because both of the actors were stage play experienced, and we said, okay, let's do something like a 4-week rehearsal, and then we did 3 versions of the whole play because we rehearsed the last week in the set and did 3 nights, a total chronological run through, which took 7 hours, something like that. And we did it 3 times. And then we composed the movie. And that was something like a huge surprise here, obviously, because it was invited to a festival. We opened a festival. And then with that festival here in Germany, in Oldenburg, which is quite popular for, let me say, indie innovations. A lot of American people coming in, a lot of producers coming in. It has that collaboration with the Hollywood Reporter. There was some of these American producers getting in touch with me that very night and saying, we have to bring this to the United States because it is something like a story which could be very interesting to the American audiences and something like that. And I said, okay, wonderful. And I felt really touched. But I, of course, said, okay, this is something, the American people often say everything is great. So let's just, have another gin tonic and walk on. But then it became definitely concrete because these guys called the festival director, then they called me, and I went over and said, okay, once these people really are interested, I should take that seriously because maybe it's a chance of a lifetime. You know what I mean? So I rewrote script. The American partners said, okay, should we write script? But I wanted to keep the IP. I wanted to have that, a little bit in mind, and did another time layer. And then, yeah, that was the beginning of that story. We decided to take Louis over the big water and play the part again, make the part a little bit more evaluated. And then there was, for something like a gratitude to Oldenburg, there was a first version of this American film, which was called the still version, which was just the chamber play part of it. And later on, we revealed now and released now, let me say, something like the full feature of Uppercut with all this two aspects in it, with the second time layer in it. So yeah, it was something like let me say, something like an evaluation, which was very intensive for all of us. And we're so proud to have it in the can now.
And you touched on there that the actors you used in the original version were stage actors. And when I was watching it, it really did feel like a play. Is that how you developed it originally? Was it a play?
No. We're thinking about developing it back now to a play. No, it was just, I thought, in these times, now where everything is so fast and people just consume stuff, 2 minutes, TikTok, the kids, and all this kind of stuff. I thought, once it is possible to create a piece that keep audiences on the big screen for 100 minutes with something which is so strong character-wise that they keep their attention to it, that was for me something which I really tried to achieve. And so no, it wasn't a play. It was just something we worked on very hardly, very, very toughly to create that for the American audiences, with that, part outside, with that part with the different, rooms in the gym, but also especially with the scenes in New York City, where it should give the audience something like a throw of dynamic parts within. But I thought also, with that scene, for example, with Joanna Cassidy, that the intense dialogue is the, my very special wish to keep the audiences in play. And I'm really, really proud and really humbled that this works out a lot of times. Not always, but a lot of times.
And talk to me about Ving Rhames, who's an actor we don't see enough of. I don't think as much these days. How did he get involved? And I mean, he's played boxers in his past, and I think he's played Don King even. How did he come to star in it?
Yeah, he received a Golden Globe for that Don King miniseries. Actually, it was a privilege to work together with casting director Michelle Lewitt. We met her in Los Angeles, and she read script and said, "This is great. I would love to work on that." And then we were talking about some, few guys on the Elliott part, and she goes, when we met her, "What about Ving Rhames?" And I go, "Oh yeah, this is far beyond everything I can imagine, in terms of realizing the project." I thought about a very, very cool POC guy to do him, but not a superstar. And so she said, "Okay, let me try." And then she was in a way close with the management of Ving. She sent scripts, and I wrote something like a personal letter. And we waited some 3 or 4 weeks, and I go, "Okay, this is done." As you always know, you send script and you never get something back. But in a very cold Berlin night, I'll never forget that my cell phone rang, and there was a number from the United States. And then there was somebody telling me that this was the management of Ving Rhames, and that Mr. Rhames is interested in doing Elliott, so we have to talk. And yeah, that was the beginning. It was just something like a classical setup of a collaboration.
And what does he bring? Obviously, he brings a big physicality. Does he become a partner with you when you're trying to work on that part with him?
Yeah, definitely. So it began during the readings, which was very, very cool. When we read script and he goes, I have a suggestion here and I have a suggestion there. And we get together every morning on set before the morning shoot and then before the afternoon shoot. It was a very, let me say, a communicative shoot, with him bringing a lot of ideas in, with him having, of course, some wishes. And then I go sometimes yes, I go sometimes no. But it was very, very, let me say, empathic. It was very close. We had the same understanding of a story, of a very, very strong story. And I mean, what meant everything to me was the chemistry between Ving and Louis was amazing from the first moment. So we wouldn't have a movie without this chemistry. So these guys, the actors, were exactly from the same curiosity on each other, than the characters were. So that was very, very cool, a very cool momentum. And it was very easy for me, to, with this excellent on set, also, of course, behind the camera, to direct this piece, because on day two they also begin to improvise a little bit, to sail along the script a little bit. But it was so cool, and sometimes we had some other momentums. But we also, like the European version, we also had, we shot some 8-minute takes, some 10-minute takes, and it was great because the energy build up. And these guys obviously, were so keen on playing. They had so much energy within themselves, and that was a magic atmosphere sometimes.
You said that the original German shoot of the film that was incredibly fast. What was your shooting schedule like on this version? I mean, it's still a relatively small movie, so was it
Yeah,
very quick as well?
yeah, it was very quick as well. It was sometimes like, some 15 to 18 days. Once you put in all the preps. And we were, as you may remember, we were with the second layer. We were exactly in that time slot of the actor strike, so we had to care for waivers and all this kind of stuff. So it wasn't something like a, let me say, easy workflow for us, being also producer. But you know, with Ving in Los Angeles, that was 9 days. That was very intense. We had a full, really full schedule every day. But because the story mirrored a little bit the tension and the stress we had to do it in time, and that was good for the story in a way, because these guys also, the characters are also some kind of stress there. They also feel some kind of tension for the other character, for the own character. So it mirrored it very well.
And what I really liked about it, the street footage, which feels very gritty and almost 70s, sort of in a style, which was shot in New York. Yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you don't see. I mean, I saw it and I was like, that's New York. You rarely see films shot in New York these days. They're always doubled with somewhere else or Atlanta. Or what was it? What were the issues of filming in New York, and why did you make sure that you went there as opposed to filming it somewhere else and passing it off as New York?
No, we wanted to feel that energy. That was very, very essential to me. We wanted to feel that energy. Of course, we had to care for permits and all this kind of shit and stuff. But as you remember, it was actor strike, so we were one of the very few productions being on set, with that waiver. So it was, with those permits, it was quite cool. We had a very cool actress with Louis. She went through that all. She was very fast. Once we had to be fast with the meatpacking district, for example, or the sports field, or especially the subway. So it had to be punch, 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 and the production was fantastically prepared, and the boxing scenes, the arena was shot in New Jersey, so it was close by. And yeah, but there was never a discussion to put New York to Atlanta or something like that, because this energy had to flow in these very sections.
Well, Torsten, we're out of time now. Can I just say thank you for your time today? It was a real pleasure talking with you.
Thank you very much. It was so nice, Niall. Have a great time. Take care of yourself. And I'm very, very pleased that you like the stuff. And yeah, let's talk soon.
Definitely. I look forward to the next thing that you're doing. So have a good one, and I'll catch you later.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Movies in Focus podcast. You can download it wherever you get your podcasts, and I hope that you tell your friends about it. That's it for this time, and I'll see you at the movies.